So I'm going to continue talking about the digital branding decomposing aspect as it relates to the metamorphosis factor and some of the things that are going to be taking place as the digital marketplace has a metamorphosis process and what this means for brands and businesses. So I have other videos where I've been talking about this, but I really want to just do a little bit more extensive context, to this. And so in part one of the decomposing aspect, I was talking about how brands are in their business cocoon or branding cocoon, and they start to really break down from the old formats and old information, old identities of their brand and the way they do things. And they're starting to come into the newer aspects that are being offered. And even if they don't know all of that, it's okay. They don't need to know everything, but they just need to know that there is a new way that's emerging, and they need to be focused into that new way so that it can reveal itself, so that then they can start to take new formation and come into form. Because when you're in the decomposing aspect, you are in a form, you are unformed and starting to build into this new identity, okay? And so sometimes that can be hard, for brands, especially if they've been around for some time, or even ones that haven't been around a long time. It's just that people get stuck in this one way of seeing themselves, or just a few ways of seeing themselves. What we know about metamorphosis is that you have to come into a new entity, a new expression. The caterpillar does not become a bigger caterpillar. It breaks down and it becomes a butterfly, which is a completely different entity of expression. And that's the same with brands and businesses. But I've talked in other videos how that's actually not what's been taking place. It's been bigger caterpillars that have been growing, and they call that transformation and evolution. But actually, that's not what's taking place. For this new era marketplace dynamics, this new now business normal, you have to actually show up in more of the butterfly format, meaning you have to have had a metamorphosis so that you can have the evolution and then the optimization of that evolution. So let me talk a little bit more about the decomposing. So I was talking about the decomposing of a brand and a business, so to speak, but I want to speak a little bit more about the actual marketplace decomposing that's going to be taking place. And I have talked about this in other videos, but I feel guided to really share more about this particular aspect because this is important. Because as the marketplace is under metamorphosis and it's breaking down, then the brands and businesses are going to be doing that as well, okay? And it's already taking place, but most aren't aware that the marketplace is literally starting to break down, all right? Because it has to come into a new formation. And for the longest, it actually hasn't been doing that. It's been going through these new and improved types of innovative processes, so to speak. And it is producing advancement, but the advancement is in very linear type of way. I call it's either longitude or latitude, all right? But it's not both. And now it has to be both. But both to the point where it actually is becoming a new creation. So how you see different businesses show up, how you see different brands show up, they have to come in this newer format for this new now business normal. And so no more new and improved. It's time out for that. So what you're going to see, even with some of the bigger gurus, so to speak, that have had longevity, so to speak, long-standing brands, you're going to see a lot of those start to break down. And a lot of some of the obscure brands are going to become more of the overtakers. Why is this? Because they haven't allowed their brands to get so stuck in those formats and have that much momentum built behind it, so that some of the newer frameworks are going to be easier for them to adopt and adapt to, okay? It's going to be more difficult for the brands that have already been well established, because that's how they've been actually making, if you want to call it their money, or building their success around those types of templates. Those templates are already old and outdated. That's why half of what they're sharing even with individuals though they're empowering them with the information and people are benefiting to some extent, and then they're also putting products and services out there, but people really aren't getting the maximum benefit of those products and services, not on a mass. All right, they have testimonies and different things, but from the masses as a whole, it's really not working for everyone, and it's not creating a win-win. So you're going to see a lot of that break down. A lot of the trustability that was there with some of the top known experts won't be, because they're going to start decomposing. They're not going to even know what to do, what's even going on, how to even get out ahead of any of this, how to take another form, because they're so used to leveling up, of becoming bigger caterpillars, not literally going through a metamorphosis. They've been metaphorically leveraging the caterpillar to a butterfly. They've been metaphorically using that, thinking that they've transformed, they've evolved. That's not what's happened. I've talked about this in other videos where what's been taking place, their transformation is more like a tadpole to a frog. Okay? So we're going to have to smash that level of transformation, because that part is not going to work for a marketplace that is requiring a metamorphosis. All right? So the decomposing aspect is a breakdown, and some of you are already experiencing some of this from the metamorphosis, the decomposing aspect, because what you're trying to do isn't working. Some of you probably feel like you've been here for a long time, but when you start actually seeing it, and it actually has already been taking place, again, even with the bigger gurus, more known household names and experts, their stuff is going to be breaking down, and they will not be able to move their craft in the world like they traditionally would be. And really, what they're bringing to the marketplace, though it seems advanced and innovative, it really is really far behind. That's why it cannot serve people at the highest level, because it's breaking down and it's becoming informed. And so then those who try to leverage it are becoming even more informed, and then can't sync up for this new formation that's trying to emerge, because they're so stuck with that old energy, because they're not even aware that it is old energy. But as I mentioned before, but the good news of understanding that a vibration has been created and cultivated, and I've participated in bringing that cultivation so that you can start syncing up in new ways of understanding, having the expanded comprehension so you can have the next level, expanded awareness so you can have the next level and now level comprehension to start carving out your own lane as a brand and a business. And that's what's going to be unique about you, having your own customized template in a sense of your own unique information. That's where the new identity comes in. The decomposing aspect is shedding away all of the older aspects and characteristics or so of that brand identity that you've been embodying for so long, the way that you've been doing business. Now you come through a metamorphosis, it's going to look completely different. And I teach a lot about this in my second coming of entrepreneurial branding and second coming of solo entrepreneurship. And all of this is for a new era marketplace, but that's just the beginning, because you have to shift into the new, now normal business frameworks, but you have to go through the new era marketplace teachings or so before you can even really sync up with that, so that you can get the fundamentals and everything. So it's really important. So again, going back to the decomposing aspect, even of the marketplace, and witnessing just different opportunities that just aren't even landing right with people. And when you see them, something that was appealing to you at one point, it won't appeal to you anymore. Or as you start to engage it, something about it just won't feel right, because it's in a very decomposed, unformed state. Therefore, you're not going to really trust it during this time, because you don't know if the juice is going to be worth the squeeze, or worth your investment or so in the time or the resources. And because often a lot of you have already been through so much where you've made investments in different things and you haven't been able to accurately leverage what you've invested in for some really meaningful results. Again, because a lot of what's coming out there is in a very decomposed state. But here's the deal. You can help to bring formation to even some of the things that are unformed, but it will happen in a customization for you. That is going to require with you getting present and going within, which is part of the metamorphosis process, that you are seeking this higher wisdom that's in you that comes to then put this out in this new formation, okay, that you're coming into. So this is very deep, but believe it or not, it's a very practical way of learning and understanding and developing yourself into the unique brand expression, that you are. But you're going to have to take on something completely different. So something that I teach, and it's my coined work, is the brand expression. So the difference between having like a traditional brand and a brand expression, that is a metamorphosis, right? When you're not just going through the traditional motions of branding. And I'm not saying that some of those elements aren't, part of it. Some of those aspects aren't a part, of even the new identity. But again, they take on a different form. When you are a brand expression, you're not limited to a niche. You're not limited to just being known for one specific signature thing or so. You get to express yourself as you feel guided, and your brand and empire is constructed really around that, unique expression initiative, right? You're the empire of self. And so when you come through the metamorphosis, you're going to see that that's the way it actually has to be. You can't be just limited to this particular concept or so. You're going to have to bring forth a whole range of different giftings and service, opportunities, for individuals. So once even other people get that understanding that this new digital space and how you show up, especially I'm talking to, let's say, coaches and consultants, or so high-level service providers. Yeah, you're going to have to embrace and embody something completely different. And you're going to have to really show up in a more cross-functional, multifunctional way, which is what my branding has been demonstrating for years. A lot of what most are coming into is like, it feels like old news for me, But the thing about it is there's always the next level of it. And I realized that even in my cross-functionality and everything, there was going to be different levels and dimensions that I would have to leverage, for this. Difference is I can leverage them in a variety of ways. I have momentum, but I've been through a metamorphosis and an evolution so that I can optimize fully that level of expression and then have these other aspects that help to train individuals like you and level up, others. Because it's time to reach your greater potential. So let me speak a little bit more to the decomposing aspect. Some of you probably feel like you are in a breakdown. And a lot of times the breakdown really does come before the breakthrough. But the breakdown is necessary because you can't be a caterpillar and come into a butterfly status without literally having the metamorphosis. All right? So this is not where you go through these transformation processes, like I said, the tadpole to the frog, or even get a quick kiss, frog prince or princess frog, however. You need the evolution, all right? Something I also talk about in terms of the difference between taking an evolutionary leap and a quantum leap. Quantum leap can shift people right to somewhere that they can imagine or sync up with vibrationally, but doesn't mean they're really prepared. An evolutionary leap, or evolutionary catapult that I call it, will only sync people up with their evolution and land them there. So in the branding aspect, in the business aspect, that's the thing in the evolution. It's going to put you exactly where you need to be. Your evolution will not carry you further than where you actually need to land, okay? Or nothing more, nothing less. And you want that. You want that to take place, because then that's the next juncture of the journey that you can continue to expand and evolve so that you can achieve far beyond what you set out, or imagine. But those are the things that you have to focus on too, is focusing forward as the decomposing is happening and understanding the decomposing is necessary. It may not be comfortable, but it is necessary. And as long as you realize that it is necessary, you don't kid yourself, you don't fool yourself as things are happening. you're breaking down, but you will break through. You are more like the phoenix that allows itself to be burned up so that it can rise anew. And that's what you want to do. You want to come into a new form. So allow your unformed to be the unformedness, and don't resent it. It's not the most comfortable thing, but just keep in perspective. I'm emerging into something new. A diamond has to have the pressure on it, on the coal, in order to bring it forth. So some of these pressures, some of these feeling, very stuck and even feeling stagnant in a sense, is only gearing you up for new movement, right? But when you're unformed, you really can't do much with that, but allow the process to be. So it's not always the easiest thing, especially when you don't have the wisdom and the knowledge around this, but because it is here, and I'm here to provide some perspective and context, to this experience for you, immerse yourself in it, all right? Immerse yourself in it, because already the evolution of not just the planet, but the marketplace dynamics is so far behind, a minimum of 50 years. So in order to close that gap and catapult for yourself, you have to go in with full immersion for your new formation, all right? So something I would have mentioned, I've mentioned in a few other videos, is that for some basic fundamentals, without getting too technical in terms of the metamorphosis aspect, just from a general training perspective, but high level, I have training bundles below, and you can explore those and avail yourself, secure, those bundles, for yourself. But also too a few publications that will help you, with this process. And again, those are what I would consider fundamentals, but they're high level fundamentals in terms of helping you to really understand and start taking new approaches to the way that you do things, all right? As a digital brand, so to speak, branding in general, business in general, but primarily the digital aspect, because the digital space is what is dominating. Whether you're brick and mortar, offline, or so, you have to use the online space during these times to be extremely effective. So with digital brands, those whose branding requires them to be in the media in a more massive way, it's time to step the game up. It's time when you're in that gap. If you're trying to close that gap, even if it's a profits gap, you have to discover what's going to be required for that. So, as I mentioned, I have some training bundles, below, and I hope that those will be helpful to you and support, you with this next phase of your journey. But definitely drop a comment below and let me know how this has served you, or if there's some things maybe you're going through, at this time, and you're wanting to come into form, but you can't come into form faster than you are supposed to. But navigating this process is not always the easiest. So definitely myself or someone, within my alliance or team would be able to definitely help you with this journey for sure. But the bundles are going to be a very great place to start, and, and some of the publications as well. So I look forward to sharing more about this particular topic, because it is very, very important that you come into form. You learn how to be formless and master and navigate the journey, but when it's time to come into a formation so that you can get ready to be set out in the marketplace and be ahead of the game, who is lacking the awareness around this, even as the marketplace is kind of crumbling down. But it's not really crumbling down. It is, but it's breaking away, because it's time for the new emergence of the marketplace, the new giftings that are going to look different, the new services that are going to look different, all through a very easy process. When I say easy, it's easy, and it is in a sense, but it's through a process that, if we allow it to be easy, can shift us in awareness into that higher understanding that we don't fight against the new that's emerging. And that is what's most important. So yes, don't decompose fully where you're stuck. Come into your new formation, and you're going to be mind blown of what you see your cocoon has actually produced. And I look forward, of course, to bringing more videos of this nature to you soon. Again, check the description or the comment section and secure the bundles and other opportunities that are available for you. Have a great day.